She was 7 years old, and she knew that asking for help could kill her. But the man who was going to save her didn't know that he was already being watched as well. Because in an empty diner at 3 in the morning, nobody arrives by chance, and nobody leaves without paying the price. Highway 54 crossed the New Mexico desert like a forgotten scar. At 3:17 a.m., Mel's Diner was the only point of light in 80 kilometers of absolute darkness. The red neon sign flickered erratically, ML's dinner, like a failing heart. The lone rider turned off his motorcycle in front of the fogged-up window, 52 years old, leather jacket cracked at the elbows. 3-day beard, eyes that had seen too much. He didn't stop there because he was hungry. He stopped because there was a green Ford pickup truck parked too crookedly, and because the kitchen light was flickering in a pattern that wasn't electric. It was fear. When he pushed open the glass door, the bell tinkled. A thin, fragile sound. Inside, the silence was sticky, the smell of reheated coffee and cold bacon. 3 tables occupied. An elderly couple near the window, eating apple pie without speaking. A truck driver sleeping with his forehead resting on table 6, and a little girl sat alone in the corner stall. Her brown hair was tangled, her dress was dirty pink, her feet were dangling without touching the ground. She stared at the mug of hot chocolate in front of her, as if it were a bomb. The attendant behind the counter was a thin man, pale-faced, sweat dripping from his temples even with the air conditioning on full blast. His hands trembled as he wiped the same glass for the 5th time. He glanced at the rider, then at the little girl, then at the kitchen door, and he swallowed hard. Ryder sat on the bar stool. He slowly took off his gloves. The girl looked up, just for a second, and in that second, he saw fear. Not the fear of a child alone. The fear of a child who knew exactly what would happen if they did the wrong thing. She lowered her eyes again. She stirred the cup. Her lips moved silently. He sharpened his hearing. Can't breathe. The waiter dropped the glass. It shattered on the floor, glass scattered everywhere. He bent down too quickly. His hands trembled as he gathered the pieces. Sorry, he murmured to no one. The little girl closed her eyes tightly. A tear rolled down her cheek. Ryder glanced at the kitchen door. It was ajar, just 5 centimeters, but it was enough to see a shadow moving slowly, very slowly, like someone trying not to make noise. He took a deep breath. His right hand went down to the side of his jacket, where the cold metal awaited, but he didn't draw it. Not yet. Because something was terribly wrong, and the little girl knew this before he did. She opened her mouth. A desperate whisper. He is... The kitchen door opened another 5 centimeters, and Ryder understood. It wasn't about her. It was about the attendant, or perhaps about all of them. If you feel like this story is going to destroy you in a good way, subscribe now and comment on where you're watching this from, because what's coming next is going to be worse. The attendant was still on the floor, gathering the shards with his bare hands. The glass cut his left palm. Blood dripped onto the white linoleum. He didn't seem to notice, or perhaps he didn't care. The little girl trembled. Her tiny fingers gripped the edge of the table until the knuckles turned white. She looked at Ryder again. This time she held his gaze. 3 seconds. 4. 5. And then she did something that chilled his blood. She pointed to her own throat with 2 fingers. Then she pointed to the kitchen, and she shook her head slowly. No, he is not breathing. Someone is not breathing. The rider turned his head just a millimeter. The elderly couple continued eating pie. The truck driver snored softly. No one else had noticed. Only him and the girl. He stood up slowly. Every movement was calculated. He walked to the counter. He took a napkin from the metal napkin holder. He wiped his hands, which weren't dirty, and he spoke softly. Coffee? Black. The attendant lifted his head. His eyes were red. Not from sleep, from suppressed tears. He nodded too quickly. He went to the coffee maker. His hands trembled so much that he spilled coffee on the counter. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Everything's fine." Ryder kept his voice calm, firm. "Breathe." The man stopped. He looked at him, as if that word had just hit him in the chest. "Breathe." "I can't," she whispered. He said, "If I breathe wrong, if I do anything." The kitchen door opened a little wider, and a voice came from there, hoarse, wet, like someone speaking through water. "Randy brings water." The waiter, Randy, froze. The coffee cup fell from his hand. It shattered on the floor. Hot coffee splattered onto Ryder's pants. He didn't move. Randy began to cry, silently. Tears streamed down his face as he went to the refrigerator, grabbed a bottle of water, and walked toward the kitchen like a man going to the gallows. The little girl covered her mouth with both hands. Her eyes were wide. She knew what he was going to find inside. The rider stood up. He intercepted Randy before the door. "Let me take it," he said softly. "No, you don't understand. He's going to—" Randy choked. "He's going to kill my son." And then he pointed to the kitchen with a trembling hand. "He's in there, my boy, 12 years old. He can't breathe. Allergic reaction, swelling in his throat. I called 911 30 minutes ago." The rider closed his eyes. 30 minutes. On that road. The ambulance was still at least 20 miles away. "And the man?" he asked. Randy swallowed hard. "He said that if I call again, if I try to help my son, if I do anything—" Her voice broke. "He'll kill everyone here." The little girl got up from the table. She walked to the counter. She climbed onto the stool and whispered, "My father, he's a doctor. He knows what to do." Randy looked at her, confused, desperate. "Your father." She pointed to the truck driver sleeping at table 6, but when Ryder looked closely, the man wasn't sleeping. He was unconscious, and there was an empty syringe next to his plate. The little girl stepped down from the stool. She walked to table 6 with steps so light they made no sound. Ryder followed her. Randy stood still, holding the water bottle as if it were the only thing preventing the world from collapsing. She touched the man's shoulder. He didn't move, chest rising and falling, alive, just unconscious. She turned her father's face to the side. There was a purple mark on his neck. Recent. "He tried to help," the little girl said, her voice small but firm. "When the man came in, when he started yelling at Randy, my dad stood up, and the man, She didn't finish. She didn't need to. The rider knelt in front of her. Their eyes were level. "What is your father's name?" "Dr. Marcus Webb," she replied. "He was coming back from a shift at the hospital in Roswell. He stopped here because I asked him to. I wanted hot chocolate." Guilt. That particular weight on the shoulders of a child who feels they caused something bad. Ryder knew it well. He had carried the same weight for 28 years, since the night his younger brother asked for a ride. And he said no. And the boy got on the bus, and the bus overturned. And there was never anyone else to say yes again. He shook off the memory. It wasn't the right time. "Does your father have a first aid kit?" She nodded. She pointed to a brown leather bag under the table. Ryder picked it up. He opened it. Inside, a stethoscope, gloves, syringes, epinephrine vials, antihistamines, and an emergency intubation kit. He looked at Randy. "Your son? How long has it been since he last breathed properly?" 35 minutes? Randy could barely speak. His lips are purple. 35 minutes, allergic swelling, not enough oxygen. The brain began to die after 6. They were at their limit. Ryder grabbed his bag. He stood up. He looked at the kitchen door, now open 10 centimeters, yellow light leaking in, and that voice again. "Randy, where's the water?" "Coming," Randy shouted, his voice cracked. He looked at the rider. Pure panic. "He has a gun. I saw it. He pointed it at my son's head. He said that if I didn't do what he told me, he would." "Shoot." "Why is he here?" Ryder asked. Randy hesitated. He looked around. He lowered his voice until it was almost gone. He said that he's waiting for someone who was going to come by. 3:30 in the morning. He said that when that person arrived, we could leave. The rider glanced at the clock on the wall. 3:28. 2 minutes. The little girl tugged at his jacket. "He's going to kill everyone, isn't he?" The rider didn't answer, because she already knew the answer. And then, from outside, the sound. Serious, deep. Diesel engine. A truck pulling into the parking lot. The voice in the kitchen laughed. Low, wet, sick. They arrived. The diner door opened. Not gently. It slammed against the wall. The little bell fell and rolled across the floor. 2 men entered. The first one was immense, over 2 meters tall, tattoos climbing up his neck, shaved head, scar across his left eye, club jacket, not a good one, desert reapers, drug dealers, murderers. Ghosts of the road that nobody looked for because nobody wanted to find them. The second one was smaller. Nervous eyes, restless hands. He carried a black backpack. Heavy. The kind of weight that makes a man walk crookedly. They looked around. They saw the elderly couple. They saw the doctor who had fainted. They saw the little girl. They saw Randy behind the counter. And they saw the rider. The big guy stopped. He narrowed his eyes. He studied his jacket. No patches. No club. Lone wolf. "You shouldn't be here," he said. His voice was like rolling stones. "Nobody here should," Ryder replied. The man took a step forward, but before he could do anything, the voice came from the kitchen again, louder now, anxious. "Troy, is that you?" The big guy, Troy, turned toward the kitchen door. He relaxed a little. "It's me, Mace. Is everything all right?" The door opened completely, and Mace left. He was a broken man, maybe 40 years old, maybe 70, impossible to say. Sunken face, gray skin, deep yellow eyes. He carried a .45 in his right hand, and he held a boy by the collar of his shirt with his left. Randy's son. The boy was purple, swollen lips, eyes rolled back, breathing in a high-pitched wheeze, almost nothing. Finally, Mace dragged the boy forward. He threw him to the floor near the counter. The boy tried to breathe. He couldn't. He began to convulse. Randy yelled. He took a step. Troy pulled out a gun and pointed it at his head. "Be quiet." The little girl ran to the, boy. She knelt beside him. She looked at Ryder with pleading eyes. He could feel the doctor's bag in his hand. Epinephrine. It would save the boy. But if he moved now... Mace laughed. I spat black on the ground. "Relax, Troy. It's over. Got the money?" The shorter man took the backpack off his back. He placed it on the nearest table. He opened it. Bundles of money, hundreds of them. 200,000, as agreed. Mace smiled, rotten teeth. "Great, so we're even." He pointed the gun at the ceiling. He fired. The bang made everyone's ears ring. The elderly couple ducked down, screaming. The doctor stirred slightly, still unconscious. "Did you hear that?" Mace shouted. "I shot. That means if anyone here opens their mouth, if anyone thinks about calling the police, I know where you live. I know where your children go to school. I know everything." He spat again. He looked at Randy. "Your kid? You'll live, maybe, if you're smart. And smart means forgetting we ever existed." Randy was on his knees, crying. looking at his son convulsing on the floor. Troy put away his gun. He grabbed his backpack. He turned to leave. But Mace didn't move. He stared at the rider, studying it, like a dog deciding if something was a threat or food. "You..." She pointed the gun at him. "What's your problem?" The rider didn't answer. He just gripped the medical bag tighter, and she looked at the boy on the ground. That had seconds, not minutes. Seconds. The silence vibrated, like the second before a gunshot. Mace swung the gun between the rider and the convulsing boy. "I asked what your problem was," he repeated. Ryder looked at him, straight into his yellow eyes. He saw what was there. It wasn't malice. Evil was alive. It had intent. This was emptiness. A man who had died inside so long ago that he didn't even remember what it was like to be alive. "None," said Ryder. "I just came to have coffee." "Then take it, and be quiet." The boy tried to breathe in. A choking sound escaped him. His eyes rolled back. The convulsions stopped, not because he improved, because the body was giving up. The little girl began to cry. She held the boy's hand. She squeezed it, as if she could stop him from slipping away. Randy sobbed on the floor. Useless. Destroyed. Troy opened the door. He looked at Mace. "Come on. We have 15 minutes before the patrol shift changes." Mace nodded, but he didn't lower his weapon. He took a step toward the rider. "Take off your jacket." The rider didn't. "Move. Take off the jacket." Slowly he took it out. Old leather, cracked. In the inside pocket, a wallet. Mace took it, opened it, saw the ID. "Nathan Crow, Colorado," she read aloud. 52 years old, organ donor, how sweet. He threw the wallet back. He studied Ryder, Nathan, more closely. "Have you ever killed anyone, Nathan?" The question floated in the air like smoke. Nathan didn't answer. He didn't need to. Some things are written on a man's face. In the way he stands. In the way he breathes before acting. Mace smiled. "I knew it. You can see it. We always recognize our own." He took another step. He placed the gun barrel against Nathan's chest. "But I killed more, and I kill more easily, so you're going to sit there. You're going to drink your coffee. And you're going to forget we ever existed. Understand?" The boy on the ground let out one last, trembling breath, and he remained motionless. The little girl screamed, "No, no!" She began to press on his chest. Tiny hands. Useless, but trying. Randy crawled across the floor. He picked up his son in his arms. He rocked him. He shouted his name. "Tyler! Tyler! Breathe! Please!" Nothing. The elderly couple wept, embracing each other in the corner. Troy had his hand on the door, ready to leave. Mace was still looking at Nathan, waiting. And Nathan made the decision. Not with my head, with the body. He moved, fast, very fast for a 52-year-old man. His left hand deflected the gun to the side. His right hand went for Mace's throat, a vice grip. Mace tried to pull the trigger. The shot went into the floor. It hit the linoleum 5 inches from Troy's foot. Troy spun around. He drew his gun. But Nathan had already spun Mace around and positioned him as a shield. The gun was pressed against his temple. "Get down," Nathan said. Low voice. Deadly. Troy hesitated. He looked at Mace. Mace was purple, trying to breathe, trying to speak. "Put the gun down, Troy." Troy obeyed. Slowly, he placed it on the ground. "Kick it far away." He kicked. Nathan pulled Mace back. He picked up the medical bag that had fallen. He threw it to the little girl. "He has an epinephrine syringe. Do you know how to use it?" She nodded. Her hands trembled. But she was steady enough. "Apply it to his thigh. Now." She took out the syringe. She pulled off the cap. She inserted it into Tyler's thigh through his pants. She pressed the plunger. 3 seconds. 5. 8. Tyler gasped. A torn sound. Painful. beautiful. Air is coming in. Life is returning. Randy hugged him and cried harder. The little girl fell back into a sitting position, trembling all over. Nathan looked at Troy. Grab your backpack and disappear. Troy looked at Mace. He was still being strangled. And him? You will live, if you are lucky. Troy grabbed his backpack. He ran outside, engine starting, tires screeching on the asphalt. Nathan let go of Mace. He pushed him forward. He fell to all fours, coughing, vomiting bile. You, son of a bitch. Stay on the ground. Nathan picked up the .45 that had fallen. He checked it. 6 bullets. The police will be here in 10 minutes. You have a choice. Mace looked at him. His eyes were filled with hatred. Stay here and go to jail. Or disappear first. But if I see you again, if I find out you touched someone. He didn't finish. Mace stood up. He staggered to the door. He glanced back once. You're dead, old man. And he left. Nathan stood still, gun in hand, listening to the engine fade into the distance. And then, behind him, the doctor woke up. Dr. Marcus Webb opened his eyes. The stained ceiling of the diner spun slowly. The smell of gunpowder, the taste of copper in his mouth. He turned his head. He saw his daughter on the floor, covered in blood. Not hers, about the boy. Tyler was coughing, breathing with difficulty, but breathing nonetheless. Randy was holding him. The little girl, Emma, was sitting leaning against the wall. Her eyes were glazed over. Marcus tried to stand up. Everything spun. He fell to his knees, hands on the floor, blurred vision. Emma. She looked at him, and she began to cry. Not a child's cry. The cry of someone who had just seen the real world. Raw, unfiltered. He crawled over to her. He hugged her. She buried her face in his chest. I thought you were dead, she sobbed. I'm here, baby. Nathan watched from the doorway, gun put away now, jacket back on. He looked out the window. No cars? Yet. But they would come. The shot had been loud. Someone heard it. Someone called. He went to the counter. He picked up the phone. He dialed 911. I need to report an incident. Mel's Diner. Highway 54. Shot fired. A child needs medical attention. Possible pursuit of 2 armed men driving a black Silverado, westbound. He hung up before they could ask his name. Marcus looked at Nathan. Slow recognition. The man who had been sitting at the counter, who had done nothing when it all began, who had remained quiet, who had waited, and then he acted. It was you, Marcus said. Nathan didn't answer. He picked up the medical bag. He gave it back to him. Your kit. It saved the boy's life. You saved it, Marcus corrected. No, she saved it. Nathan looked at Emma. She showed me where it was. Emma wiped away her tears. She looked at Nathan. Something changed in her face. A kind of silent understanding. The kind that happens when 2 people go through the same fire. Randy finally managed to speak. Thank you. Thank you. There were no words for the rest. Nathan nodded. He headed towards the door. Wait. Marcus stood up. He staggered. Emma grabbed his arm. The police will want to talk to you. It won't do any good. They're going to look for you. Be a witness. Let them search. Nathan pushed the door open. He stopped. He turned his head. The boy, Tyler. He's going to need antihistamines for 3 days. An observation. Take him to the hospital in Roswell. Don't. Wait for the ambulance. Go yourself. Marcus nodded. Nathan left. Emma ran to the door. She pressed her hands against the glass. She saw him get on the motorcycle. The engine roared. The headlight cut through the darkness. Dad, he's not coming back, is he? Marcus placed his hand on her shoulder. I don't know, baby. The motorcycle sped off. It disappeared down the road. Only dust and sound remained. Inside the diner, Randy was cradling Tyler. The boy was coughing, crying, alive. The elderly couple had already left. They left $20 on the table. They didn't even wait for their change. Emma looked at the cold, hot chocolate on the table where she was sitting. She touched the cup. It was still lukewarm. "Dad, that man, Mace, he said he was coming back. He said he knew where we live." Marcus closed his eyes. "I know. What if he comes back?" Silence, because there was no good answer, only the truth. And the truth was that men like Mace always came back, not because they wanted to, but because they didn't know how to do anything else. 10 minutes later, sirens ripped through the night. 3 police cars, an ambulance, red and blue lights painting the desert a mixture of blood and ice. The paramedics took Tyler away. Randy went with him, still trembling, still in shock. A tall policeman with a gray mustache entered the diner. He looked around. Bullet hole in the floor, broken glass, dried blood. He saw Marcus. He saw Emma. "Does anyone want to tell me what happened here?" Marcus took a deep breath, and it began. But he left a part out. The name of the man who saved them all. Because some debts are not repaid with gratitude. They are paid with silence. 120 kilometers north. A disused workshop on the outskirts of Alamogordo. 3 in the morning turned into 4, then 5. 7 motorcycles parked in a semicircle. Headlights off. Engines cold. Silence as heavy as lead. Nathan was sitting on the concrete floor, leaning against the wall, an unlit cigarette between his fingers. He hadn't smoked in 15 years, but he still carried the pack. Some anchors just won't let go. The metal door creaked. A man entered, tall, black, moon-shaped scar on his chin, patched jacket. Road Guardians, MC, not a traditional club. Something older, more quiet, more dangerous. "I heard you got into some trouble," the man said. Deep voice, calm, eh? Nathan didn't look up. "I didn't interfere. I was just there." "It's the same for them." "For whom?" The man sat down next to him. He took out his own cigarette. He lit it, smoke rising in a lazy spiral. "Desert Reapers, Troy Maddox, Mace Sullivan. You stuck a gun in one of their heads and left the other alive. That's non-negotiable, Nathan. They're going to collect." "Then let them come. It's not about you, it never was." The man exhaled smoke. "It's about the little girl, the doctor, the boy's father, everyone who was there." Nathan finally looked at him. "I know, Bishop." Bishop, vice president of the Road Guardians, 30 years on the road, 58 years of life. He had seen 3 clubs fall, 2 presidents die, and he was still standing because he knew when to fight and when to disappear. "So you know they're not going to stop." "I know. And you know we're going to have to stop them first." Silence. Nathan threw the cigarette on the ground. He stomped on it. "I don't want to drag the club into this. Too late. You're a guardian, and guardians don't leave debts unpaid." Another door opened. 6 men entered, all wearing the same jacket, all with the same look. The kind of look that doesn't come from gyms or shooting ranges. It comes from nights when you choose to save someone knowing it will cost you, and you still pay anyway. The president entered last, a short man, in his early 60s, white hair tied in a ponytail, sharp blue eyes like blades. His name was Eli, that was all. Nobody knew his last name. Nobody asked. He looked at Nathan. Road Guardians was founded in 1987. 40 bikers, mostly Vietnam veterans, men who returned and saw that the country they defended didn't defend anyone back. So they made a promise. He paused. He let the words settle. The promise was simple. To protect those who cannot protect themselves, not for money, not for fame, because it's the right thing to do. Eli walked over to Nathan. He extended his hand. "You made the promise when you accepted the jacket. 7 years ago, and today you kept it. Nathan took her hand. He squeezed it. Eli smiled. Small. Sad. But now the promise comes due, and we're paying it together. He turned to the others. Mace Sullivan, Troy Maddox, Desert Reapers. They're operating a meth route between Roswell and El Paso. Clubhouse in Carrizozo. 18 members, 15 active, 3 in prison. They have contacts with smaller cartels. Nothing big, but enough to make some noise. Bishop stood up. He lit another cigarette. And noise attracts attention. If we act, it has to be clean. No traces, no bodies, no police. One of the men laughed, low, bitter. Since when do we care about the police? Eli looked at him. The laughter died. Always, Danny. We're not criminals, we're ghosts. We act and disappear. We leave questions, not answers. He unfolded a map on the cracked wooden table. He pointed to a spot in the middle of nowhere. Tyler Hansen, 12 years old. He almost died today. Now he's in the hospital. And when he gets out, there will be 2 Reapers waiting at the door. He pointed to another place. Dr. Marcus Webb, Emma Webb, 7 years. They returned home to Roswell. Known address, no protection. Mace has 2 days to decide if he wants to send a message. Nathan stood up. What if we get there first? Eli smiled again. This time there was no sadness. There was something worse. Certainty. Roswell, a small town known for aliens and tourists. But far from the souvenir shops there was another side. Rusty trailers, houses with peeling wood, cars without wheels in the yards. The Webb's trailer was at the end of Oak Street, faded blue, cracked windows, but it had flowers out front. It always had flowers. Emma used to plant them with her mother before she passed away. 3 years ago, lung cancer, a lifelong smoker, died gasping for air, like Tyler almost died. It's strange how some deaths resonate. Marcus parked the pickup truck. He turned off the engine. He sat down, hands on the steering wheel. Emma was in the passenger seat, holding a battered teddy bear, a gift from her mother. Are we safe here, Dad? Marcus didn't answer immediately because he didn't want to lie, but he also didn't want to scare her more than she already was. Let's stay alert. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. They went inside. They locked the door. Marcus placed a chair against the doorknob. An old habit from when he lived in Detroit. Bad neighborhood. Bad doors. Emma went to her room. She changed her clothes. She lay down on the bed. She didn't sleep. Marcus sat down in the living room. He picked up the phone. He thought about calling the police, asking for protection. But protection for what? They had no proof. They had no names. He was only afraid. And the police don't protect out of fear. 3 in the morning turned into 6. A dirty dawn. A sky the color of gray and burnt orange. Marcus dozed off in the armchair. And he woke up to the sound of breaking glass. Kitchen window, shards of glass on the linoleum floor. And a rock in the middle, with a note attached. He picked it up. He opened it. 3 words. People know. His blood froze. Emma appeared in the doorway of the room, her eyes wide. Good. He kept the ticket. He tried to smile. It didn't work. Everything's fine. Just kids. She didn't believe it. He went to the window. He looked outside. The street was empty, but there was a pickup truck parked across the street. Engine off. Tinted windows. Black Silverado. Same as yesterday, they hadn't left. They were waiting. Marcus picked up the phone. He dialed 911. Before he could speak, the line cut out. Just static. He looked at the wire. Cut. Clean. Someone had entered the yard, cut the wire, left the note, and it was still out there. Emma, grab your coat. We're leaving. Where to? It doesn't matter. Far from here. He grabbed the keys to the pickup truck. He opened the front door. He stopped, because Troy was standing on the balcony, alone, no visible weapon, hands in his pockets. looking at Marcus as if he were a problem that needed a simple solution. "Dr. Webb, may I come in?" Marcus didn't move. He blocked the door with his body. "Get off my property. I just want to talk." "We have nothing to talk about." Troy sighed, as if it were exhausting. "My brother, Mace, is really upset. You know how it is. Hurt pride. He wants to pay a visit. To you all. To the family of the boy who almost died. To everyone who was there." Marcus felt his stomach churn. "You're not going to touch them." "I'm not going, but Mace is, unless—" Troy took his hand out of his pocket. He didn't have a gun. He had a piece of paper. "You sign this." "What is it?" "A statement, saying that you didn't see anything yesterday, that nobody shot, that it was all a misunderstanding, and that you're not going to talk to the police. Ever." Marcus looked at the paper. "What if I don't sign?" Troy didn't answer. He just looked back. At the Silverado. The back door opened. Mace left, holding a bottle of gasoline and a lighter. Emma screamed. Marcus stepped back. He slammed the door. He locked it. Outside, Mace laughed, and he started pouring gasoline on the balcony. The smell of gasoline filled the trailer. Strong. Acidic. Emma covered her nose, eyes wide. Marcus pulled her away from the door. "Go to your room, close the door, stay on the floor." "Good." "What?" She ran. Marcus picked up the phone. Deadline. Cell phone. No signal. They cut it somehow. A jammer, maybe. Or just good. Luck for them and bad luck for him. He went to the back window. He opened it. The safety screen. He tore it open with his hands, metal cutting his skin. Warm blood. It didn't matter. "Emma, here." She left the room. He lifted her up. He reached through the window. She fell on the other side. Yard with tall grass. Rotten wooden fence. "Run. Go to Mrs. Callahan's house. Knock on the door. Don't stop." "And you?" "I'm going now." Lie. She knew, but she ran anyway, because children obey their parents, even when they know they shouldn't. Marcus went back into the room. He picked up the kitchen knife. Pathetic. But it was all he had. The front door exploded. They didn't break. They exploded. Hard kick. Hinge giving way. Troy went in first. Then Mace. They both smelled of gasoline. Mace smiled. Rotten teeth. Yellow eyes gleaming. "Hi, doctor. Where's the girl?" He left. "No, it wasn't her. I saw her jump the fence. She's right there." He pointed to the window. Marcus looked. Emma had tripped. She was on the ground, trying to get up. Grass too tall. Twisted ankle, perhaps. Mace River. "Go get her, Troy." Troy climbed out the window. Marcus moved, knife in hand, straight for Mace. Mace dodged. He grabbed his wrist. He twisted it. Bone cracked. The knife fell. Marcus screamed. Mace pushed him. He hit the wall. Emma's mother's picture fell. Glass shattered. "You don't understand, doctor. It's not about you. It never was. It's about respect. And you disrespected me. You let that old man humiliate me. In front of Troy. In front of everyone." Marcus tried to stand up. Mace stepped on his chest. Ribs creaked. "So now I'm going to teach you, and your daughter, and everyone else, that there are things you just shouldn't do." Outside, Emma screamed. Troy had picked her up. He was carrying her on his shoulder. She was hitting him in the back, kicking him, crying. Mace looked out the window. "Good boy." Marcus spat blood. "No, don't touch her." "Or what?" Mace bent down, his face inches from his. "What are you going to do, doctor? Heal her? With her broken little hands?" He stood up. He went to the door, and then the sound. Serious, deep, multiple, engines, 7 of them, crossing the street, stopping in front of the trailer. Mace looked out the window, and for the first time Marcus saw something new in his face. Fear. The motorcycles formed a barrier. Bikers got off. No hurry, no words. Eli in front, Bishop beside him, Nathan at the back. Absolute silence. Troy let go of Emma. She ran. One of the women from the club caught her, hugged her, took her away. Mace stepped out of the trailer, hands raised. "Hey, look, this is a misunderstanding." Eli stepped forward. "It is not. You don't know who you're messing with. The Reapers, they no longer exist." Mace blinked. "What?" "Clubhouse in Carrizozo. It burned down. It's been 2 hours. Nobody died. Everyone got out. But everything you had there, money, drugs, weapons, ashes." The blood drained from Mace's face. You can't." "We can, and we did," Bishop said. "And now you have a choice. Disappear, change states, change your name, change your life, or don't change, and we'll come back." Troy looked at Mace. "Let's go, Mace." But Mace didn't move. He stared at Nathan, recognition, hatred. "It was you, at the diner. You called them." Nathan did not respond. Mace took a step, then another. "I'm going to find you. I'm going." Bishop moved, quickly. He grabbed Mace by the throat. He lifted him off the ground. Mace gasped. He kicked the air. "No, you won't," Bishop said. Low voice, final. "Because if you touch any of them again, if you speak their names, if you dream about them, we'll come back, and there will be no discussion." He let go. Mace fell. He coughed. Troy helped him up. They went to the Silverado. They got in. The engine started. But before leaving, Mace glanced at Nathan through the window, and Nathan saw. It wasn't the end. It was a break. The pickup truck accelerated. Dust rising, disappearing. The Guardians stayed. They waited, making sure. Nathan entered the trailer. He found Marcus on the floor. He helped him sit up. "Are you okay?" Marcus shook his head. Broken wrist, cracked ribs, shattered pride. "My daughter. She's safe. With us." Tears streamed down her face. "Thanks." Nathan stood up. He stopped at the door. "Don't thank me yet." "Why?" "Because this isn't over." And he left. Marcus was left alone. In the destroyed trailer, smelling of gasoline, and with a heavy truth. Because Nathan was right. Mace was coming back. They always came back. 3 days later, the hospital in Roswell, pediatric ward. Tyler Hansen was in room 412, recovering, still swollen, still tired, but alive. Randy didn't leave his side. He slept in the plastic chair. He ate what the nurses brought him. He prayed when Tyler slept. 3rd day, 2 in the afternoon. Nurse entered. Young woman, hair tied back. Name tag, Jennifer. "Mr. Hansen, someone is here to see you." Randy looked up, tired. "Who?" He said he's a friend. He didn't give a name. Randy sighed. He stood up. He went out into the hallway. A man was waiting. Dark jeans, plaid shirt, baseball cap pulled down over his eyes, hands in his pockets. It wasn't Troy, it wasn't Mace, but he wore the same patch on his shoulder. Desert Reapers. Randy's blood froze. "Relax," the man said. Calm voice, young. "I didn't come to do anything. I just came to deliver a message." "I don't want to hear it." "You'll want it." He took an envelope out of his pocket. He held it out. Randy didn't catch it. The man put it in his hand anyway. He turned it. He started to leave. "Wait," Randy called. "Who are you?" The man stopped. He didn't turn around. "Someone who owes Mace favors, but doesn't want to. So I'm paying him back the way I can." And he disappeared down the hallway. Randy opened the envelope. A photo, in color, recent. Emma Webb, leaving school, alone. And on the back, handwritten, "Today, 4 p.m. Riverside Park. If he doesn't show up, she pays." Randy felt the ground disappear beneath him. He ran back to the room. He grabbed his cell phone. His hands were trembling. He dialed the number the police had given him. P.O. Box. He tried again. Nothing. He looked at the clock. 2:17 p.m., 1 hour and 43 minutes. He picked up the keys. He looked at Tyler. Asleep. Connected to monitors. Safe. "I'm sorry, son." And he ran away. Riverside Park. Outskirts of Roswell. Broken seesaw. Rusty swings. Graffiti on the walls. Nobody went there anymore. Only drug dealers and beggars. Marcus parked the pickup truck at 3:52 p.m. 8 minutes early. Emma was in the passenger seat. He had lied. He said they were going for ice cream. She knew it wasn't true, but he didn't say anything. Because sometimes children know when their parents need silence. They went downstairs. Marcus held her hand, tightly. The park was empty, but not for long. At precisely 4:00 p.m., the Silverado pulled up to the entrance. Mace got out. Alone. No weapon in sight. But it wasn't necessary. He walked to the middle of the park. He stopped. He waited. Marcus didn't move. Mace shouted, "Come here, doctor, just you and me. Leave the girl here." Emma squeezed her father's hand. "It won't. I have to go. He's going to hurt you." "I know." "Then it won't happen." Marcus knelt down. He looked into her eyes just like his mother's, green, deep. "If I don't go, he'll hurt you, and I can't let that happen." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't want to lose you too." He hugged her, tightly, for a long time. "You won't lose." Another lie. He stood up. He walked. Emma stood still, watching her father walk away. And then behind her the sound of motorcycles, not 7, 20, arriving from all directions. Road guardians, and up front Nathan. He went down. He walked over to Emma. He knelt down. "Your father is brave." She nodded, crying. "But courage isn't enough, is it?" Nathan stood up. He looked at the park. Mace had seen the motorcycles. He smiled, because he was expecting them. Troy stepped out from behind the Silverado, with a shotgun. 4 more Reapers emerged from the bushes, armed. It wasn't just conversation, it was a trap, and Marcus was in the middle of it all. Nathan took a deep breath. He turned to Bishop. "Get her out of here." Bishop grabbed Emma. He took her away. The other guardians got off their motorcycles, slowly, and they walked on. Towards the park, towards war, 20 against 6. Guardians at a numerical disadvantage. But numbers never tell the whole story. Nathan stopped 10 meters from Mace. The other guardians scattered. No words. Ancient formation, trained in 1,000 forgotten battles. Marcus was at the center, trapped between 2 worlds, 2 hatreds. Mace pointed at Nathan. "You again. Don't you ever learn, old man?" "I'm learning," Nathan replied. "I've learned that men like you always need an audience. That's why I brought all the Reapers, to see you fall." Mace spat on the ground. "There will be no fall, only death, starting with the doctor." Troy picked up the shotgun, and then Randy showed up, emerging from behind Marcus's truck. Hands raised. No weapon. Just a desperate father. "I'm here. I'm the one you wanted, wasn't I? Leave him alone." Mace looked at Randy, surprised. Then he laughed. "Look at that. The whole gang. How lovely." He signaled. 2 Reapers grabbed Randy. They dragged him to the, center. They threw him next to Marcus. "Perfect. 2 at once." Nathan took a step. 2. Or what? Either none of you will be left. 20 against 8. Do the math. I already did. And it's not about numbers. Nathan took off his jacket. He dropped it on the floor. Underneath, scars. Many. Old ones. History written on torn skin. It's about how much you're willing to lose. Mace hesitated, because he saw something in Nathan's eyes. Not anger. Not fear. Acceptance. The kind of acceptance that comes when a man has already lost everything that mattered and decided he has nothing left to protect. Just something to do. Last chance, Mace. Let them go and disappear, or we'll end this. Mace looked around. 20 Reapers, but half of them had fear in their eyes because Guardians had a reputation. They didn't talk, they didn't threaten, they just showed up, and when they went out, someone was always missing. Troy lowered the shotgun, a little. Not much. Mace, maybe we should... Shut up. Mace pulled out a pistol. He pointed it at Marcus. I'm going to count to 3. If you don't come out, I'll shoot. Nathan didn't move. 1. The Guardian stood still. 2. Mace put his finger on the trigger. Tro. The shot came, but not from Mace, from behind him. Troy had fired the shot. On Mace's leg, he screamed, he fell, pistol flying. Troy lowered his shotgun completely. He looked at the other Reapers. He finished. Confusion. Some raised their weapons, others lowered. Them. Division. Troy shouted, I said it's over. Mace is on his own in this. He always has been, and I'm not going to die because of his spite. One by one, the Reapers lowered their weapons. Some left, others stayed, but no one fired. Mace crawled on the floor, bleeding, trying to grab the pistol. Nathan got there first. He kicked the gun away. He grabbed Mace by the collar. He lifted him up, face to face. You lost everything. Club, respect, fear. And do you know why? Mace spat out blood. Because you chose hate instead of a fresh start. And hate always ends badly. He left him. Mace fell, crying, not from pain, from defeat. Nathan turned around. He went over to Marcus and Randy. He helped them to their feet. Go away, take your families, and don't look back. Marcus hesitated. And you? I'm done here. What are you going to do with it? Nathan looked at Mace, bleeding on the dirt floor. Nothing. Enough has already been done. He nodded. 2 Guardians picked up Mace. They took him to one of the motorcycles. They were going to drop him off at the hospital. With messages for doctors and police. No names, only consequences. Marcus and Randy left, without looking back. The Guardians assembled. One by one. Engines roaring. Nathan was the last one. He grabbed the jacket. He put it on. Emma ran towards him. Bishop tried to hold her back. He couldn't. She hugged Nathan's leg. Thanks. He placed his hand on her head. Gentle. Take care of your father. You're not coming back, are you? Silence. She understood. He let go. Nathan mounted the bike. He accelerated, and he disappeared down the road. Along with the others, ghosts again. 6 months later, end of summer. Roswell was quiet, as it always was. Aliens were still selling, tourists were still buying. Tyler went back to school, a small scar where his trachea had swollen, but alive, laughing, playing basketball. Randy reopened the diner. New name. Tyler's Rest in Homage. Good movement. Always fresh coffee. Marcus stayed at the hospital. Double shifts, saving lives, one at a time. Emma grew a little. She became quieter, but stronger. She planted flowers every morning, just like her mother. And every night, before going to sleep, she would look out the window, looking for headlights, looking for engines, looking for something I knew wouldn't come back. But I was still looking for it, because some people leave marks that time cannot erase. One afternoon in September, the mailman brought a package. Small. No return address. Addressed to Emma. Marcus opened it. Inside, a patch of cloth, hand-embroidered, Road Guardians, Protector, and a note, shaky handwriting, old. Some roads are not chosen by us, they choose us. When you grow up, if you feel the calling, look for Eli. He will know what to do. N. Emma read it. She read it again. She folded the note. She put it away. He went to the room. He opened the drawer. He placed the patch next to the photo of his mother. And it closed. But he didn't forget. Because forgetting would be a waste. And pain that teaches cannot be wasted. Far away, on some lost road in Colorado, Nathan stopped at an old bridge. He turned off the motorcycle. He got off. He looked at the river below. Brown water. Slow. Unhurried. He thought of his brother, of the boy who asked for a ride, of the bus that overturned, of the questions that would never have answers. He thought of Tyler, of Emma, of Marcus, of Randy, in all those whom he saved, and in all those cases where he failed. He took a deep breath, he put it back together, and he continued, because that's what guardians do. They don't stop, they don't rest, they only show up when no one else can, and they disappear before even saying thank you. Because the road has no end, there's only the next turn, and always, always, someone is waiting. If this story really affected you, give it a like now, subscribe, and comment on which moment devastated you the most, because the next video is going to be even more intense, and you won't want to miss it. She was 5 years old, and her stepfather said that no one would believe her, but a biker at the next table overheard, and decided that someone would. The vengeance he brought, it's not in the history books.